Área de Ciencias Sociales. Docentes de grado noveno. Rosa Elvira Cuevas Garzón y Luis Antonio Peña Sánchez. Izada de Bandera, Colegio Cafam. Buenos días, rector encargado, señor Jimmy Bermúdez Cubides. Directoras y directores de departamento. Coordinadoras, coordinador de ciclo, docentes, estudiantes. Bienvenidos a la Izada de Bandera Fiestas Patrias 2023. Programa Izada de Bandera Fiestas Patria 2023. Estudiantes que izan bandera por su excelente rendimiento académico de grado noveno. Noveno A, Gabriel Santiago Quintero Morales. Valeria García Rodríguez. Noveno B, Valeria Muñoz Muñoz. Diego Santiago Mendieta Vargas. Noveno C, Samuel Esteban Mora Neuta. Juan Sebastián Rodríguez Zamacá. Noveno D, García Ángel Mariana. Laura Valeria Becerra Martínez. Noveno E, Sara Salgado Hernández. Noveno F, Santiago Rojas Burgos. Ángela Sofía García Hernández. Noveno G, Dana Gabriela Ávila Forero. Tomás Adrián Wilches Vinasco. Número 2. Himnos. Himno de Colombia. Himno de Cafam.
Adelante, Cafam, en tu lucha, que la patria sabrá valorar a los hijos que forjan su historia con tesón, con amor y lealtad. Es un canto a la empresa que busca recrear, aliviar y educar, que realiza el deseo de progreso, estrechando la unión familiar. Adelante, Cafam, en tu lucha, que la patria sabrá valorar a los hijos que forjan su historia con tesón, con amor y lealtad. Es el grito de muchos que anhelan y laboran con gusto y afán por lograr expresar en conquistas los senderos que traza Cafam. Adelante, Cafam, en tu lucha, que la patria sabrá valorar a los hijos que forjan su historia con tesón, con amor y lealtad. Es Cafam en Colombia un símbolo de confianza al brindar protección, de esperanza y de fe en nuestra gente, la riqueza de nuestra nación. Adelante, Cafam, en tu lucha, que la patria sabrá valorar a los hijos que forjan su historia con tesón, con amor y lealtad.
Tercero, presentación Bogotá dentro de su historia. Toma del Palacio de Justicia. A cargo de los estudiantes de noveno A, B, C, D. Del docente de Ciencias Sociales, Luis Antonio Peña Sánchez. Estudiantes: Salgado Sara, noveno E. Mendieta Diego, noveno B. Ardila Paula, Cortés Daniel, Osma Maya, Rodríguez Mauricio, noveno C. Noreña Santiago, noveno A. Leguizamón Mariana, Murcia Gabriel, Salamanca Miguel y Zambrano Julián, noveno D.
Aprovechando las fechas conmemorativas de la independencia, hoy hablaremos de la capital colombiana, Bogotá, la cual fue fundada por el colonizador Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada el 6 de agosto de 1538. Esta fue hecha durante los enfrentamientos con los territorios muiscas que habían y se fundó oficialmente en una capilla que estaba ubicada en el Parque Santander. Se cree erróneamente que esa capilla está ubicada en el Chorro de Quevedo o que las dos hechosas de las que siempre se hablan estaban en la Plaza de Bolívar. En esta Plaza de Bolívar está el Palacio de Justicia, el cual sufrió una toma dentro del 6 y 7 de noviembre. Aquí Alfonso Joaquín llama a los infiltrados que ya yacían ahí desde hace varios días en el palacio para empezar el ataque. Iván Marino Espina estaba hospedado en el barrio Calvo Sur y fue por la carrera novena donde se movilizaron y llegaron 10 minutos antes que el carro de alias Lázaro. Subieron por unas escaleras y entraron asesinando. Se tomó acción militar, aunque esta era una toma de rehenes, y esa toma de rehenes hubiera salvado vidas si hubiera sido gestionada por la policía. Cuando subieron a las plantas superiores, tomaron de rehén a Alfonso Echandía, quien era presidente de la Corte Suprema de Justicia, quien estaba por llamadas llamando a Belisario Betancur, el presidente de ese momento. Los orientes cuentan que Belisario no le estaba prestando atención a Alfonso y estaba hablando de temas filosóficos. Venga. Alfonso Reyes Echandía fue encontrado con una bala 9 milímetros en el pecho, la cual no correspondía a la de los guerrilleros. Luego procedemos a que unas horas después los militares estaban apuntando a las plantas superiores con todos los tanques, rockets que podían. Esto causó un incendio, pero según la versión oficial, el incendio fue provocado por el M-19, ya que querían acabar con los archivos de los extraditables. Al otro día se encontraron con una escena terrorífica, cuerpos amontonados calcinados, totalmente muertos. Y quedan muchas lagunas de lo que ha pasado. Pero en un baño del del cuarto y quinto piso se encontraban 60 rehenes y policías. Y los policías entraron matando a esta gente. Quedan otras lagunas sobre los desaparecidos de la toma, como es la de Alfonso Hachín, a quien se le ve saliendo por las cámaras vivo, pero en el reporte fue dado de baja dentro del palacio, así como el caso de Irma Franco, una mujer guerrillera que logró ser identificada y que aún sigue desaparecida, a pesar de haber sido vista por las cámaras saliendo del palacio. Unas teorías dicen que este hecho fue promocionado por el ya fallecido narcotraficante Pablo Escobar, quien quería financiar la toma para acabar con los papeles de los extraditables. Lo que nos queda de esto como enseñanza es que tenemos que buscar la paz y la no repetición de esto, escuchar a quienes no están en nuestra capital y que estos no lleguen al poder de esa forma tan violenta. Y para la próxima, que siempre nuestro Estado nos proteja, quienes seamos.
Cuarto, presentación Happy Birthday Bogotá, a cargo de los estudiantes de noveno FG, de la docente bilingüe de Ciencias Sociales Rosa Cuevas Garzón. Estudiantes, Samuel Carranza, Tomás Wilches, Dana Ávila, Santiago Rusi, noveno G y Juan David Garzón. Sara Castañeda, Gabriela Sánchez y Santiago Rojas Burgos, noveno F.
Happy birthday, Bogotá, a journey through time. Let's begin this journey with the cheap chess and its ancient culture. Let's move on with the 16th century and hop on into a Spanish voyage and cruise the seas to find a new world.
At the end of 1537, the Spaniards arrived to the savannah and established a military camp in the now Chorro de Quevedo. On August the 6th, 1538, the kingdom of the Muiscas was occupied in the name of the Emperor Charles V of Spain. The legal foundation took place on April 22, 1539, in presence of Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada, Sebastián de Belalcázar, and Nicolás de Federman. After this, the locations for the church, the government house, the prison, and the first houses were established. Until 1539, the village was called Nuestra Señora de la Esperanza, and from that year on, it was rebaptized as Santa Fe. 3 centuries later, in 1819, the city was named Bogotá, like the indigenous name for the former Muisca capital. On 1540, the Emperor Charles V gave Santa Fe the category of city, and in 1548, Santa Fe was given the title of the most noble and most loyal and most antique city of the new kingdom. Santa Fe was the royal audience of the new Kingdom of Granada government's main office in 1550. Since 1717, it was the capital of the Viceroyalty of New Granada, accommodating the viceroys, and in 1819, it became the capital of La Gran Colombia. Until 1571, Santa Fe suffered from a choosy action from the crown, the archbishopric, and the errants. The town council was reduced to nothing. Santa Fe was a bureaucratic and ecclesiastic city. The urbanization of the city turned out slowly. During the first 40 years, only the errands could build mud and tile houses. In contrast, at the end of the 16th century, Santa Fe was the administrative capital. It was also the minor center where all the gold and silver of the country passed by. Also, from the capital, cereals were exported to the north of the country. This age was perceived as the first golden age of the city. It wasn't until the second half of the 17th century when the city got the aspects that distinguished it during the rest of its colonial age. From the 17th century until the end of the 18th century, it was a demographically stagnant city with a mainly indigenous population, regionally isolated. The population in that age did not surpass 8,000 inhabitants. During the middle of the 18th century, the city was reborn and grew in all areas. There was this boom of the commerce and civil administration, which carried to a different mindset. For the first time in its history, the people's will surpassed the military and the church. Thanks to this boom of the civilian initiative, Santa Fe suffered of a significant demographic and social change, reaching the 20,000 inhabitants. In 1774, there was a social reorganization and the first law for an urban police was promulgated. With this, the control of the city becomes much easier. This was the second golden age of the city in which it got organized based on its vast growing. The intellectual and social spirit was manifested in the Creole elite, whom later will cut relations with Spain in 1810.
Let's also remember some historical events that marked the history of Bogota.
Since independence, Bogota remained the capital and the main political center of the country, although it had to face the consequences of political differences such as the 1000-Day War. Speaking of Bogota, we also find difficult times, as in all of Colombia. In the 40s, Colombia was in a period of coexistence between the liberal and conservative parties. By then, the liberal party has already been divided between Gaitanistas and Oficialistas. The conservative party had taken advantage of this and had ended the Second Liberal Republic with Mariano Espina Perez in the presidency. And being at the door of the Cold War, the United States was trying to declare communism and outlaw activity throughout the American continent as an attempt to stop advances of communism. On April 9, 1948, Jorge Eliezer Gaitan, leader of the Liberal Party and candidate for the presidency of Colombia, was brutally murdered in front of his office when he went out for lunch. Immediately, the people attacked the alleged culprit in spite of being protected by a police officer. He ended up being mutilated in front of the Plaza de Bolívar to be identified later as Juan Roa Sierra. By then, the people had already gone mad. The media accused the government of Ospina Perez as responsible for the death of Gaitan. Hence, the people raised in arms began to raid, burn, and destroy public and private properties around the center of the city. In total, were 142 buildings destroyed. This revolt spread in the following weeks throughout the country, and despite the fact that the conflict in Colombia began around 1930, broke out in Bogotá with the murder of Gaitan. This event is known as the Bogotazo and began the era of La Violencia in Colombia. Although Juan Roa Sierra was declared the only responsible for Gaitan's death, there are suspicions that it was more the airplane by the conservatives, the Colombian Communist Party, Fidel Castro, and even the CAI. Another of the most important moments for the history of our city was the Toma del Palacio de Justicia. Between November 6 and 7, the M19 took over the power of this to demand a trial against President Belisario Betancur. Notwithstanding the fact that the courthouse was recovered, there were inconsistencies in the process. Some people disappeared, many good documents were lost, and it's a great hole in the historical memory of our country until this day.
Allow us to get into the suburbs of the city.
This sectorization process began in 1954 with the first population and housing census in the city. Since then, demographic growth and urban development had led to the creation of the new neighborhoods and the reorganization of some sectors. Sectorization is an important tool for identifying areas with specific needs and to more efficiently implement public policies and infrastructure projects. The Agustin Codazzi Geography Institute, or In other words, IGAC is the entity in charge of carrying out the sectorization process in Bogota. This institution establishes the geographical limits of each neighborhood and sector as things, coded and named for their identification. On official maps and database, it is important to note that the boundaries are names of neighborhoods and sectors may change over time due to urban growth, the creation of new developments, administrative organization, or the need to specifically communicate demands.
Today, Bogota is a modern and vibrant city that reflects indigenous, Spanish colonial, and modern influences. But let's watch some other cultural facts about Bogota.
Bogota has been a focal point of both internal and international migration. Over the years, people from rural areas from Colombia have flowed to the city in search of better economic prospects and education opportunities. This internal migration has contributed to the diverse cultural therapies of Bogota. Additionally, the city has been a destination for migrants from neighboring countries such as Venezuela, adding to the cosmopolitan characters of the city. This influx people has led to the fusion of traditions and customs, creating a unique blend of cultures.
Let's get into Bogota public transportation.
Now let's talk about mobility in Bogota. First, the animal draw cards. In 1823, the first public transport service is established in Bogota, with the appearance of the first stagecoach or animal draw carts. Animal draw cars, often referred as carretas, have been historically used for transporting goods in rural areas or for tourist purposes in certain parts of the city. These carretas are typically horse-drawn cars or carriages and have been part of the city cultural heritage. Then we moved in the tranvía. In 1913, the electric tram is inaugurated, becoming a popular public transportation option in the city. Later, they made the Bogota Airport. The airport was inaugurated in 1959, replacing the old Teco airport that could no longer meet the growing needs of the city. During its early years, El Dorado was considered one of the most modern and advanced airports in Latin America. After that, the Transmilenio. The Transmilenio was inaugurated in December of the 20s as the first rapid bus mass transit system in Latin America. It was designed to address mobility problems in Bogota and reduce traffic congestion of the city streets. Public transport, SITP, was gradually implemented from 2012 with the aim of integrating different modes of transport. Both systems, Transmilenio and SITP, have been a fundamental part of Bogota efforts to improve urban mobility. Then, the city needed a bike path all over the city. In 1970, the first bike paths are created in some parks and recreational areas of the city. These first bike paths are not connected and were limited in length. After the 20s, the bike paths continued to expand and improve over time. Today, Bogota has an extensive network of bike paths that extends for hundreds of kilometers. Then they built the Metro Cable. On 2018, Enrique Peñalosa inaugurated the Transmicable, the work that connects Ciudad Bolívar in just 13 minutes with the Tunal Portal, and the Mirador and El Paraíso sectors, a route that could previously take 50 minutes. And finally, the Metro of Bogota. Since 1940, a new ways of transport for the city of Bogota has been proposed. We have been waiting for its construction for 83 years, but it is still a dream of the Bogota population. We are still waiting for its construction.
What about its education?
Part of the development of the city is related to the academic file. We have the following universities. The first university founded in Bogota was the University of Sir Thomas Aquinas in 1538, and then the Javerianas University in 1623. These universities focused on creating lawyers and clergymen who were part of the ecclesiastic church. At the tourist level in Bogotá, we can find the Hill of Monserrate and some theaters like Cristóbal Colón and Julio Mario Santo Domingo. At the Zone G and Zone T, we can find bars and restaurants. You can also find theme parks like Maloca, Planetarium, Salitre Mágico, and the Botanical Garden. At the Candelaria, we have some libraries like Luis Ángel Arango, theaters, and some museums like Botero and Colonial Museum and the Gold Museum. However, we have many more museums in Bogotá. The first that was founded was the National Museum of Colombia on July 28 in 1823. Then began to found museums such as the Art Museum of the Bank of the Republic and the Mint. This influenced tourism in Bogotá, being designed with themes of national interest.
Quinto, marcha final.